there are people who have done the work, and there are people who have not done the work and will never do the work. And those people probably won't even be seeing this video. Or they might be intrigued, but they won't get all the way to the end. It's up to you to determine where you are, but I know you've done at least something. And for that, it's a very tough experience to look inside, do the inner work, do the inner healing, especially because it can take so long. And so if you feel like you're in the middle of doing your healing work, I encourage you to keep going. It will be worth it. I know you can see day by day that you are getting stronger, your intuition is growing, you feel better and better. It's like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, healing, I don't think there's ever an end to healing. I feel like there's just more situations that come up that you can learn a little bit more about yourself and about others. But for the most part, working on those inner, I'm not gonna say flaws, but those deep wounds that we came here with, if you believe that, working on those core things and working through them is an incredible accomplishment. And I do believe there is an end to that. I do feel like you'll feel it when it's like, I feel like I'm way different than I was when I started this whole journey, and you'll feel whole and complete. So I'm sweating already. You already know how it goes. I just bust out into sweats. So I guess I'm backed up by this. Let me know if you feel like you have done a lot of healing work, or let me know, maybe on a range from 1 to 10. Do you feel like you're at the finish line, like you're at a 9? A 10 would be the finish. Maybe you feel like you passed 10 and you learned other people's problems. You learn other lessons from other people. Regardless, there are people who do the work and people who don't. And those who don't, and like I said, it can be long and hard, right? But it's so worth it. Because think about what the other side of that looks like. Those who don't do the work, I know for sure it can look like they're out there partying, having a good time, a good life. They ain't thinking about nothing. Like, ignorance is bliss. I understand that. And that takes me back to a time when I was really young. And I'll tell that in a second. But I promise you, their life is not as good as you think it is. The grass is greener on the other side. That's what it looks like. But trust me, they are experiencing hardship over and over and over again, or the things that they get in their position, suddenly the good things that they get, they can't hold it because they don't have the capacity. We're talking about nervous system capacity, when you have to work to build your nervous system and get rid of the limiting beliefs, things like that. If we're talking about traumatic wounding from childhood and working through the scarcity mindsets and stuff like that, they don't have the capacity. So yeah, it might look like on Facebook when they post this great thing, but then they don't tell you the part where they lose it all. Don't fall for that. Really trust that what you're doing is not in vain, and that it is worth the time, energy, and effort, and the solitude and the isolation that you have to go through to get to the other side. Trust that that's worth it, okay? Now, as far as what I was saying earlier about earlier, I mean like 2 seconds ago, about kind of feeling like a teenager, I remember having this feeling when I was young, especially in middle school, and I always felt like my friends, or I guess the acquaintances, people I knew, other kids, right? They seemed like they just had just a much funner life. They got to do extracurricular things. They got to go to parties and stuff like that. And I was under such a more strict standard. If anybody knows, if you're the oldest daughter out there, let me know. Because we already know that's a whole different thing. Oh my gosh. But But I felt like it was not fair that I had to, I had to be held to this standard and these rules, and I couldn't have fun and I couldn't do what everybody else did. And I remember going to my dad and saying, like, I feel like I can't do what everybody else does. It feels very unfair that, or whatever I do something, it seems like I'm more harshly punished for it, and that I just don't have the freedom. And I feel like I can't really remember word for word what he said, but it was somewhere along the lines of, you're basically saving yourself right now from a whole lot of heartache. They're getting themselves into things that, they might not recover from. There's things that you don't see, and you're being protected and shielded from that. You're being more safe. Now, do I think that was all the way correct? not, I still think that was kind of an excuse just to not let me, be a little bit more free. But I can still appreciate the thought because, yeah, you don't have to touch a hot stove to know that it's hot. You don't have to go through the fire to really get the lesson all the time. And I feel like the time that you're taking to kind of be secluded and isolated, and does this really relate to what I'm trying to say? I don't know why this story came up. But I think it's just like what it looks like from the outside, and being an observer from the outside can be false. What you think you see, and it looks like they're having fun and it looks like their life is great, but in reality, they're getting themselves into way more this and that. They're adding more challenges on. So that was just an example of what it might look like from the outside versus what it really is. And so while they look like those who aren't doing the work, who aren't doing the soul work, who aren't doing the shadow work, who aren't doing the inner work, while it looks like they're having a good time and making all the money and not having to answer to anybody, they're just prolonging their true success. They are running away from feelings, they're running away from their deeper emotions, and they're really just staying stuck. And I wanted to say they are stunted, like they're still a child. They're still going to maintain their inner child thoughts. They're going to still harbor those emotions like a child would, and they will not grow in their maturity. They will not grow in their intuition. And meanwhile, you've been safe, secluded, and it's been lonely, I understand, but you have gained so much intuition. You learn how to work through challenges. You have stayed pretty safe, and with God's provision and protection everywhere that you go, and you gain that connection with your source and your spirit team, however you want to look at that, with God, with the universe, whatever. And those are things that cannot be taken away from you. And now, as you move forward, you will be able to handle all things, good and bad. And so there's nothing new that can surprise you. And the things that are good, you can hold it. Okay? That's powerful. So please keep going. If you're not quite at the 10, if you don't feel like you've crossed the finish line yet, that is okay. I'm here to encourage you and let you know that it will take time. But the time that you put into it now is very much worth it, especially as we're coming into these new societal shifts where there are, if we think about the 3D, 5D split, I don't know much about it, but the vibration and the frequencies, have you advanced and accelerated in your frequency and in your vibration to the point where, as this earth, I don't know why these words are coming out, because this is not something I usually talk about, but I think as the earth raises in vibration, even though it doesn't feel like it does seem like it right now, that's why it's very important, especially if you haven't done any of the work, the news that we see, the things going on in the government. I don't even want to say those words right here, right now, but those who are kind of getting lost in the sauce of all that is probably because they haven't really sat down and really figured out how to hold different vibrations and work through challenges. And they're just kind of getting swept away mentally and emotionally by the things that they see super quick. But if you've done the inner work, if you've done the soul work, you're a little bit more grounded. And you're going to have to stay grounded with the crazy things that are going on, with the swift shifts that are happening. You're going to have to learn how to be grounded in yourself, to know what thoughts are yours and what thoughts aren't, to know how to handle different situations with tact and grace, and to keep yourself in alignment with the things that you are here to do, instead of getting swept up by things that are not worth your time and energy. That's up for you to determine, okay? But this is a part of doing the inner work. Okay. I am sweating. Oh, Jesus. Let me just see if there's anything else about this inner work, man. Doing those deep dives. And here's the thing, on the flip side of what you see from, if you're on the outside looking into somebody else's life and how they seem like they're having all the fun and whatever, the same way they might look at you And they don't understand until they go through the work. They don't understand, or they can't even, first of all, they don't see the work that you've done. So when you're getting new opportunities and when you're elevating, they're assuming it's because of this random thing, or oh, blah, 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 or they're, oh, she this, she that, oh, he this, he that. They don't even know that they didn't see the inner work that you've done. They don't know the trials and tribulations you've been through. They don't see the tears that you cried every night, right? They don't see, they don't hear, they don't know what you've been through, and they don't know all the work you put into developing yourself to get to where you are, which is why you are in alignment with new opportunities. And when you get those opportunities, you can hold it, you can handle it, and you will continue to rise. They don't know from the outside looking in that that is who you are and what you've done. And so you're not going to be able to explain it to them that, hey, no, I've done the inner work. They're probably going to be like, what are you talking about? Even you can tell them what you're talking about. There are resources, and they'll still pretend like they don't understand what it means to really sit down and reflect, to meditate, to ask questions out loud, and to receive those downloads and those spiritual guidance. They don't understand what that is, or they pretend like they don't, because they're avoiding looking at their shadows. They're avoiding looking at themselves. So you can't even tell them. I mean, you could tell them, hey, because I did this, that, and the third, but it's not going to matter because everybody's work and everybody's journey is up to them. And you've heard that before. You can't save anybody. So when other people are projecting onto you, wow, I feel like I'm fired up, y'all. When other people are projecting onto you about what they think you deserve, please don't even worry about trying to justify or tell them what you've done, because I'm pretty sure they've seen you do the work. I'm pretty sure they heard the vocabulary you've used when you told them once before, twice before, oh yeah, because I read this book or this one-off thing. They didn't want to take heed to any of those things. So they shouldn't be surprised when you get to where you're going and you're in a brand new space and a brand new reality and everything is positive and looking up and everything good is happening for you. Don't even worry about explaining it to them, because they seem like, I'm getting mad because it's kind of seemed like that's the vibe. It seems like they didn't want to hear you then, so don't go asking now about how I did this, that, and the third, because you know how I did it. You just didn't want to do it. And that's okay, because they weren't supposed to come with you anyway. It's up for them to determine for themselves if they want to do the work. Now, of course, you should still be the light and be the example and keep showing people like this is what it looks like when you do the work. This is the reality you get when you do the work. I encourage you. If you feel like you had that 10 and you crossed the finish line, I encourage you to go ahead and flex on them. And also don't forget that, like, hey, I may not look like what I've been through, but this wasn't overnight. And if you want to see the track record, we can go in the book. We can go in the book. We can look at the journals. I know y'all got journals. You done written it. You done wrote it down. You done made the voice notes. You done told other people how you got your therapist. You done went to your therapy. You done the work. You done it all. You done been to church. However you want to get your life. I don't know where I was going. I got a notification, and I keep getting a lot of Facebook memories, y'all. Over the past couple of days, that notification just came up, and I'm trying to figure out what that's about, because I didn't click any new notifications or any new settings on Facebook to tell me to show memories. Some of y'all, people thought they knew you, but it's just a memory now, because you done been through so much work. You've done so much work on yourself. If they seen you now, 10 years later, 5 years later, they're gonna be like, I don't even know, she not even the same no more. Forget what you look like. You might look quite the same, but the words that come out of your mouth, your thought process is very, very brand new. New me, who this? New phone, who this? New year, new me. And everything you know about me is just going to be a memory, because I'm not them no more. But then there's some people who are exactly who they were. Oh, this is so funny, y'all. Because am I going to tell y'all about this? Of course I am, because I'm going to be open. I got a memory. And if you know, you know. From, just pop up from an ex from like high school. So do we really even count that? Who cares? But it took me back to a comment that I was tagged in, and I swear this is over 10 years ago. And it's just like, just looking at that interaction, I'm like, I'm kind of different now. And yeah, that was still kind of a funny, thing that I was tagged in. But then, like, I still see them on Facebook, and I just have the feeling that they haven't really changed. They seem like they're the same person. They have the same humor, and that's fine and all. But looking back at a memory, I see how much growth there has been. And of course, there should be growth, right? When back in 2013, whatever, why would I be the same? But still the feeling of they seem like they're still the same. And that's kind of sad, but whatever. And so I feel like you're leaving a lot of people in the dust, and memories are literally just memories, and you have nothing to do with that past self. You're way more evolved than that. You have done the work. You have worked through it. So now that you've done it, gone through the inner work, you've gone through the inner healing, you've done the shadow work, and I'm not saying that it's done and over, but I know you're either close to it or you feel like, yeah, I can breathe now. I can handle everything that comes next. My intuition is good. This is where you can basically prove it to you and yourself. Like, you can handle new challenges. You have so much more confidence in your ability to work through situations. When you meet new people, you can discern their character very quickly because you done seen a thing or two. You done been lied to. You done been treated bad. I'm not saying this shadow work has been easy. This inner work has come with a lot of pain, right? A lot of unfair treatment, a lot of just things that you felt like you shouldn't have had to deal with. But if it wasn't for those people who were just, being completely nasty to you, you wouldn't have learned to see, oh, when people act like that, move like that, when I hear that, okay, I know what's going on. When I see you move like that, okay, I know what's going on. Right? You have the confidence now in your ability to discern people, your judgment is on point. Right? You're keen here. So you're confident in your ability to read the room. You're confident in your ability to speak. Because another thing is now that you've done the work, you can be of service to others. Be of service to those who are coming and asking. Which I'm always like, my comment section is open if you made it this far. And also, before I forget, because I'll be forgetting, I will link a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page where I do deeper dives or more exclusive content over there. And so feel free to go check out any of those posts. Slightly different content than over here. And so I hope you like that. And definitely leave a comment down in the comment section about what you want to hear over there, and I'll put it over there. It'll have a little exclusive moment and build community over there, because that's what I would love. More community, more conversation, more sharing how we got through our healing work, how we got through our shadow work. We don't have to share everything, but whatever you're comfortable with. And so when you've been through the work, you get to share. You get to be of service to other people. You get to say, hey, I've been through X, Y, and Z, and this is exactly how I got through it. It may not be the way that you get through it, but this is my perspective, okay? And that is incredibly important, because those who don't do the work can't help anybody. They can be an example of what not to do. And we see that with a lot of elders, right? Now, I don't want to step on nobody's toes. Don't know why this is coming up, but we see a lot of the times where parents of parents, grandparents, they've been doing the same thing since the beginning of time, and they have not done any work. And the children of the children have come through and done all the generations worth of work within 10, 20 years. And it's like, well, how is it that I did all the work and you haven't done any? I don't know where that came from, but you could be of service to others. And those who haven't done any work is just showing you what not to do. That's where I was going. Yeah, that's where I was going with that. Yeah. And a lot of you have learned exactly what not to do because you watched your parents do the exact opposite of what's right. And even though that was hurtful and that was painful and it caused you a lot of wounds, and even though it's not fair that you have to work through that, you work through it, or you're working through it. And I'm proud of you for working through it. And now if you decide to have kids, the next generation that you are raising are going to be so much better off. And that is so important for the bloodline, for the kids coming up in our society next, if there will be a society left. Okay, I'm not going to say all that, but whew. And I thank you for being of service. When you help yourself, you are helping others, whether that is direct or indirect. The more healing work you do on yourself is the more healing work you do on other people. When you take care of yourself, you're taking care of others. Whether you even want to look at this as I don't even want to go there. But I'm open to all conversations because I think it's interesting about the thought of like everybody being mirrors of each other, and what you do to yourself, you do to others. And if this is kind of all a fake reality, then nobody else is real anyway. We could talk about that if we want to. I don't know how I feel about that conversation. But anyway, what else do I have? The work is necessary and important because you don't have to repeat old issues. There is a quote that I wrote down, and it says, "The cycle will repeat because the work is incomplete." Do you know how many times there's some people who go through the same loop over and over and over again because they don't want to look at themselves? Everything is somebody else's problem. They don't want to take any accountability. Nothing is there for them to blame. If nothing's ever on you, but you keep experiencing the same thing, you might be the common denominator. And if you're somebody who ain't doing the work and you somehow watching this video because, you just like looking at me, good. Hey, wake up. It's you. And you need to do some of the work. It's not me. It's you. It's not you. It's me. It is you. Okay? And if you're repeating the same cycle, if you're noticing the same pattern, it's because you haven't done haven't done the work. Now, I'm not gonna say that once you've done the work, you'll never experience the same thing again, because I do feel like some things will come back just to make sure you got it, but you'll know that you got it because you'll peep it from a mile away. Like I said earlier, you'll be able to discern a pattern way quicker this time. You won't fall for the same thing over and over again. I have another example, y'all. Okay, so the quote was, "The cycle will repeat because the work is incomplete and you don't have to repeat old issues." If any of y'all know, I maybe gave this example before, but I've been dabbling into the stock market. Believe whatever you want to say about that. And I started last year around December. And the thing I was looking at, I got in, whatever, and then when January, February came around, it started to dip. And I did not know the pattern through the year. It was my first time, I didn't know. And so February, January, March, it was just going down, down, down. And I didn't take my money out. Really, I took a little bit out, but it was too late. Or it was very late. Not too late, and it's never too late, but I lost more money than I wanted to. And then I had to hold on to money all throughout the year until it started going back up. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's say this, I got in, it was doing okay, blah, blah, blah. But the next thing you know, it was going down and I didn't get out in time and I lost a lot. And then I just decided to hold until it started to go back up, right? This year, and still I almost made the same mistake, and I kind of did, but I put a lot in around the same time I did last time. And then I noticed immediately, like, oh my gosh, is this not the same thing that happened last year where I put it in at this moment and it started to go down around January? And it's like, oh shoot. And so I noticed the pattern sooner. I still lost a little bit, but I didn't lose as much because I pulled all the money out and I was like, okay, I remembered. I'm not going to make the same mistake. And I darn for sure, when next December comes, I know the pattern throughout the whole year now, right? I know what it's going to do and when it's going to start to go back up. I know it'll start to go back up in August, September, October. And then by the time January comes around, it's going to start to dip again. So I peeped the pattern. I went through it. It wasn't perfect the second time because, like I said, I forgot again this year, but it wasn't as detrimental. So like I said, the situation might come up again, but you're either going to be faster to interpret it, to decipher it, to be like, or you're not going to fall for the okie doke again. And that's a part of the work. And like I said, it hit my ego the first time and it kind of hit my ego again this time, but I see the growth. And so you'll be able to see the growth, and that's that on that. I'm sweating bullets, y'all. My back is wet right now. Oh my gosh. And as soon as this recording is done, I'm going to be like normal again. That's just how it is. So if you're getting something from this, which I know you are, hit that like and subscribe button. And I'm so thankful that you've done the work. I'm so thankful that you watched this long and you got all the good juice from this video. Thank you so much for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. Definitely hit that link in the comment section and go check out the Buy Me a Coffee page. And if you are also interested, and under the same name of Inner Journey Oracle, you can find me on Substack, and I will be getting out messages in written form over there. And you can subscribe over there as well for exclusive content. So thank you for doing the inner work. And if you're not there yet and you've got more to go, keep going. It's so worth it for your past self, your inner child, and for everybody in the future, for the new opportunities that are suddenly coming into your life, for even the challenges that might come back up. You got it. You'll rock it. You will pass the test with flying colors. And the new things coming in, you will be able to hold the abundance. You will be able to move forward in an exciting way. You won't feel guilty about the abundance. You will feel, excited and confident about everything that's to come, and you won't be living in fear. And no, I'm not saying you're gonna be perfect, but you're gonna be so much better than you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And people who thought they knew you before, they have no idea, and it's not up to them to even figure out how you did it. They know how you did it. It's up to them to do it. And don't think you're going to drag everybody with you, because it's up to them to do their healing work, okay? So that was that, and it wrapped up into a cute little conclusion. A little conclusion statement. And this has been long enough. Thank you so much for watching. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.